we're on page Tov Yud. We got to the Tovs now. And my review of this yesterday, I think there's some deeper stuff in here. So Hemshek Pasuk Sham. So I don't remember where we were before exactly, but here's the phrase: "V'yihi Adam the Nefesh Chaya." So that this man. Now we were talking about man referring to either Eric Anpin or Zer Anpin. It became the concept of the Nefesh of Chaya. Pirusho. Yeah, Adam, who parts of Zer Anpin. Here we're talking about the parts of Zer Anpin. Hanikra Adam. L'nefesh Chaya. Hainu kol ha-medregos min dargos nefesh ha-tachtayne, ha-dargos chaya el-yoyne, shehi bebechinis chochma, kolomer, le'itarkav alaycho b'tikundach gavnado. His lavesh v'lahachnis kol elu ha-medregos, in order to bring all of these medregos, v'chatikunim, and also the hismatus of all the light b'zer anpin, k'fi ha-seder chazera v'nefesh ruach neshama chaya. So we've discussed this before. This is Naranchi. These are the auras of the Ein Sof. And to remove this nishpa, this neshama. So he says it means lahamshech melamala, to bring down from up above. So here the word neshama is really referring to a panemius. I think because sometimes the word neshama it really indicates that. So there's a neshama from bechinas yechida, Eric Anpin. Eric Anpin is represented by the light called yechida. Bepenemios from the penemios, Meir or Ein Sof Baruch Hu Ka'amar La'el, that from inside of its penemios there is the light of the Ein Sof. 1 second, please. Okay, let me get this lined up here. Where do I go? Where is it? I lost the place. Okay, so let's see. Medrega the Dargat and Sofa the Ishvasam. The call Dargin V'lahachnes the Shama Chazos the Bechinas Yechida. So it should become this. The Shama should come in as a penemius. Ashech Besochu Meir or Ein Sof Baruch. Besoch Edoch Medregas Nefesh Ruach Neshama. So this Chanchaya is going to come this other light, the light of Yechida. Bedrega El Yoina the Darka Tachtoina. Ad Sof Kala Bedrego. So it's the highest level, running to the lowest level, until you get to the bottom of all Medregos, Shuhu Darga Nefesh, which is Dargas Nefesh, which is the level which is called Nefesh. And it's just regular or straight, regular Naranchi he's describing here. Begin the Yahave Haki Nish Mishtakcha Bakula. So what's the idea? Kadei Sheha or Ein Sof. Baruch Hu HaMecher Ba'osach HaNeshama, the Yechida that shines into that. In other words, the Yechida, Panimi to that, you're really into the infinity of nothingness. Shel Eric Anpen, the Hey Nimsa B'Kala Bedrego. So he says the Yechida, which was represented by Eric Anpen, should be in all the levels. Mispashta B'Kula, and then it spreads into all of it. And Mispashetis B'Kala Bedrego, so it could spread in all of the Bedregos. And B'Laha B'Kula B'Yechud Echad, so that everything should be actually oneness. So we should have all of these elements, all the partsufim of Atzilus. B'yichud echad. Ki af sheyesh b'Atzilus kama partsufim. We understand that there are many partsufim there. Hine nishmas Eric Anpen hu penimius kala partsufim. It's the inside of everything. Who kolol is kulam, and it has within it all the rest. Vayado misyachnim kala partsufim, and it is Eric Anpin that joins all of them together into oneness. He said partsufim bebechinas parts of echad belvad. So that's how you understand that Eric Anpin is really, even though there are sub partsufim, let's say that this is the one that joins them all, because it's inside of all of them. V'chakol mekoecha or Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Meir Pipinimius Nishmas Eric Anpin, which is shining into the interior of Eric Anpin, Buhamiyached as called Partsufim, and it is Eric Anpin that has the ability to be Biyached, all the Partsufim, Messiah as the Varam, and it concludes like this. A person who is able to stop this. Umi shamapsikas Yehuda, or cause it to be interrupted or stop this relationship of Erik Anpin with the other parts. As a Yichud Hazer Shal Or Ein Sof Min Ha'olamos Mitzad Choyser Manaso Ad Avonosov. So a person that causes a psik in this because of his behavior, command the psik nishmasadol. Mapsik as ha'aras nishmas Erik Anpin. It's as if this person has interrupted the flow of the neshama of Erik Anpin. Asher al yadam meir ha'or ein sof b'chol olamos. That is the vehicle by which the Ein Sof Baruch Hu shines into all of the rest of the worlds. There is nishmas achrach b'bar mechai, because there's another neshama besides this one. V'nira ke'ila yesh neshama acheres chutz min nishmas Erik Anpin. So now he's really refining for me the word neshama here, because he's talking about the neshama that is the panemius of Erik Anpin, is really this concept of Yechida. So he says, go again, yesh neshama acheres chutz min nishmas Erik Anpin. V'harehu kamafred ha'aras or ein sof Baruch Hu min ha'olamos. It's as if we're separating the light of the Ein Sof from the worlds. We're separating ourselves from eternity. V'ge'ila begam b'or ein sof chas v'shol. That it's if there's a flaw in the Ein Sof itself, God forbid. Again, kach, for this reason, yishtetze hu v'duchrone min alma l'dare darim. So therefore, this person who is called the psik in the flow of the light of the Ein Sof, so this person will be, that sounds like Kares, this person will be cut off, and his memory will be extinguished, I guess, mina oilam the doridoros forever. Vihi mida keneged mida, and this therefore is balanced. Mida keneged mida al shapsak v'hefrid, because he stopped. V'hifrid nishmas achayim min ha'olamos, and now he's saying this light of Yechida is called the nishmas achayim, because it's interrupted that and stopped it. So he said, so now in this image of the man, let's go back to this idea. Parts of a Nikra Adam, going back, which now he previously called it Zer Anpin, Shuhu Zer Anpin Hakalu Yachad Imanukva, which is now, let's look at it this way, is it Zachar Vanuk. It's male and female. Shari Vasakin Klal to call Nukva. The Adachar V'Nukva. So it begins, his skill, Ha'ma'atzil begins, V'tikin as Klal Zachar V'Nekeva. And in this man idea, he's really forming the concept of man, which is male and female. HaKolula V'Devukim Yachad Ach Ba'ach, which are incorporated in and clinging together back to back. In other words, there's a Nukva on the back side of the man. Kadistaken Kai Diuk Nucha B'Tikunoi, Ukasha Hatikun Hiskin Hama'atzel as parts of Shalzer Anpin. So when this parts of is put together, Bitikuni parts of, in other words, it becomes a light processing system, and that's why I call Tikuni a parts of. Higil the Makom Machazer Shalzer Anpin. So this reaches to the level of Zer Anpin. Now let me see where I got mixed up here. He says Kad Istaken Hai Diuknu Bitikunoi. Let me just go through this again. As a parts of Shalzer Anpin. So now he's not talking about how it's actually developed, but he just says that that the Mansel does this. Bitikuni are parts of it. Now it's in a system. Vigir the Makom Machazer Shalzer Anpin. And now the tikkun apparently reaches to this one place. It reaches to the place of the chest of Zer Anpin. Shari mechadoi bebein train zroim. Now I thought, what is? I looked at the word chadoi. It's very hard. I got the word chest. I don't know. It begins from the chest. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Was that was a yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't really appear in the dictionary. So let's say it begins from the chest. It comes down to the chest. So let's start from the chest. Bebein tray to zroim, between the two shoulders. Oz hischil parts of Zer Anpin lihis pashet mechachazer shalo. So then Zer Anpin starts to spread from that position at his chaza bebein shtei zerosav. Now apparently it's important to know that he's talking about the area of the chest that's between the two shoulders, which is the upper part of the chest. Ba'aser the Talian Sari de Dikna, the Iskrun Tiferes. Now let's go. This is Makom. So where is this place? So Makom. Makom ad Sham. It's a place ad Sham Tuluyan Mushaloshim Saras Adikla Shazer Anpin. So this actually, as we said before, is that the beard of Zer Anpin goes down to his chest. So he says, and so therefore this is where they end up. Now these beautiful hairs are Nikroim Tiferes. They're called beauty. V'alkein, and so he says this is pshat in the word Tiferes. V'alkein nikra gam makom achazet Zer Anpin mishum Tiferes. So therefore this is what we call Tiferes. We call it because why? The beard of Zer Anpin reaches to that place which is glorious or beauty, beautiful. V'yispashet hai Tiferes, and then this Tiferes starts to spread. Parts of Zer Anpin b'makom techilas achaza. So now we're at the beginning of the chest. He said that's between the two shoulders. Shuhu bein shtei zerosav. Shuhu techilas teferes shall parts of Zer Anpin, which is where the teferes of Zer Anpin begins. Od nispashet the teferes the Zer Anpin b'makom achaza. So now it spreads from that place of the chest. The height of the mata min makom shtei zerosav. So it, in other words, not just at the top of the chest, but actually goes downwards. V'sakim trin chadin v'oz tikun hama'atzel eshtei hachazos. Now he says what? He says there are actually two different chests that we could be talking about. Shehem chaza yamin v'chaza small. Now I don't believe I ever heard this concept before. He says that the as it spreads downwards, you start to have a right side of the chest and the left side of the chest. V'hein sod shnei dadim, and that's why we have two breasts. Shebamakom achazah dezer anpen, which is at the place of the chest. In other words, that's where the chest is located, to tell you that there's a right and a left here. Hana'asim mekoich yisod ima, and how does this actually happen? Now he brings us this thought that it's the yisod of ima that penetrates into zer anpen. Hamislavish b'zer anpen and mistayim b'makom achazah, and ends at the place of the chest. V'ishtalaf la'achroi. V'oz nishlafu ha'oros. And then what the lights that have been delivered here, he's saying coming from Ima, going out into the chest. He says, oz nishlafu ha'oros, then the lights actually are removed from Zer Anpin. V'anvrachu v'yatz and the achre Zer Anpin. Now, exactly how this travels, I haven't heard it yet. So, but they've avro v'yatz and the achre Zer Anpin, that those lights now, they travel over to the back of Zer Anpin, because in the back of Zer Anpin, that's where you find the beginning, or the standing of the parts of the nukva. And it makes the crown of in other words, the top of the head, the skull of the nukva. As and then the skull is put together. And let me get this in one section. The nukva, shuhu kli hakaser the nukva, which what we're talking about here is the vessel that holds the crown of the nukva. Shuhu kli hakaser, called kaser. Excuse me. Kula stima because citroy. It's all closed up on all sides. V'hu sasam because it does. Meaning what? Ki etzem megogol is the bone of the head. Shal hanukva, of the female attribute. It's made, the whole thing is made out of one bone. Now, exactly what that means, I don't know. But in other words, what's the reference to it being made just out of one bone? But it's one bone. And once this bone is set into place, then nisaken hagugolas gam b'sa'aras arosh. So then now the skull starts to pick up hairs on the head, but partsufa de resha, and in this partsif on the head, the parts of a rosh who hakasser shall also in that partsif which is her kasser, who hashorish the called parts of a nukva, and then this kasser becomes the fount from which all of the rest of the nukva develops out. The klalachada is avida chabachai teferes. The klalos echad now should become in one general incorporation. Naasa v'nisakin hagugolas the nukva hachaz. Now he's saying like this, is that the light that he was talking about at the same time. Let me read the words again. The v'klalos echad, and the same, it really means the same time or in one motion. Na'asa v'nisak and the gugolos the nukva v'chahazah the zer anpin, so they both come together. So zer anpin, here we're talking about the light of Ima coming into zer anpin and developing him, and at the same time it's also developing the skull of the nukva. Now this place which is called Tiferes, which is the place where this beautiful beard is, because from the body, and he says, and also the vessel itself of Tiferes, the Zer Anpin, then that makes the body and the vessel of the Nukva. So he said, from one body makes the other one. The Ikri Adam Dachav Anok, and now the man is called male and female. So therefore now we see that Tiferes is called Adam, Shehu so the Shem Ma, because we know Adam is a gematria of Ma, which we have a definition of that. Ha'odu Kaminian Adam, which comes to the gematria of 45, which is Adam. Because the place where this Tiferes is located, that's where you find the concept of Zachar v'Nok. Yachad shehem zer anpin v'nukva. So he said v'klalos dachar v'nukva. So the concept of the general concept of male and female nikra Adam. So Adam is not just a male; it's actually male-female. Maybe raya kimipnei tam zan. It brings a proof that because of this reason, zan nikra Tiferes Adam. That's why the Tiferes is called Adam. Is it Adam, or let me just see? I've marked all over that. Adam. Okay. That's the meaning of this phrase. It's a pasuk in Yeshaya. Ketiferes Adam l'sheves bayis. So you have this word Tiferes, which we're talking about the place of the beard, of the Adam. Now we're saying Adam is male and females, is l'sheves bayis. Bayis usually refers to the nukva, but Perusha Tiferes nikra Adam. The Besa, because it's house, Zera nukva, that is the nukva, is the female aspect. Hanikra bias Yosheves imo yachad, they're all together. V'klalos dacha v'nukva nikra Adam. So now we're saying that, first of all, important idea is that these two are really created at the same time. I'm not sure how I understand that, but I'm trying. They're created at the same time, and so therefore now we have the concept of Zachar v'Nukva. That's what happens with Zer Anpin. He splits into that. Or I don't know if it splits is the right word, but he is split in that way. And maybe we should say they are split. That's the proper way to say it. Let's look at this now. When it was created, the head of the nukva, the parts of a rosh, when that was created, the kol nukva, and this is the beginning of all the parts of the nukva. Now let's go back, and there's that what the first part was. When the parts of the nukva is built, we had the situation, it sounds similar to the situation of Erik Anpin versus Zer Anpin. We have one kutza de sa'aris, a bundle of hairs that hang down, so the sa'ari ma'achre, the Zer Anpin, koyun talui, and going down a kutza. Kutza means a bundle of hairs, but let's say one hair, bundle of hairs, one bundle. Echad shall seir, so he said, Kutza echad shall seir ma'achre rosh zer anpin, so he has a strand, let's say a strand of hairs that go down up on the back of zer anpin. Vatale ad reisha de nukva. Now this is really getting more specific for us, and it hangs down until it hits the head of the nukva, which is in the back. V'nimshach lemata ad rosh nukva of haomedes ma'achre zer anpin, who is in that position, opposite the chest of Zer Anpin, or opposite really the beard of Zer Anpin is where she begins. And you have this striking again in the back of the head of the nukva. And through this way, now you have light coming out through the head of Zer Anpin because of being banged on by Zer Anpin, and the lights come out onto the forehead of the nukva. Now, this is one of the. There is a tivuk avanos on tefillin, And it's one of the things that I want to do because I really don't understand the secret. Shahu so tefillin shal yad, not the tefillin shal rosh, but the tefillin shal yad of the nukva berosh hanukva. So I don't know. Is he saying like this? Is that this light, which is on the head of the nukva, actually transfers in some way over to the concept of the arm tefillin? Because she's associated, maybe that's why he said that he kept saying that it's between the shoulder blades. I'm not really quite sure. Okay, anyway, going on. V'ita Aaron Sarecha Bereshahu. And now these mochin, which are come out onto the forehead of the nukva, misorder them hasaro shal rosh nukva. They arouse the hairs that are on the head of the nukva. What do they arouse them to? That says for them to go out. Now it causes hair to grow and to come out. Kuhu smake, and all these hairs are red. Because saras rosh nukva heim begavon edam. All of them are red. Ve'enem saras shcharim kubachus saras rosh zeranpin, and they're not black hairs like the hairs of zeranpin. V'chatam kadeshu lo yanku haklifos b'saras misarasecha. So the reason why for the redness is to say that the enemy, that is the klipos, should not suck off of her hairs. Ki derek haklipos the yanek rak min saros shehem begavon shachor. Because normally, now this is a fact that is not easy for me to hear, but he says the fact is that the klipos, they want to nurse, to feed off of the saros shehem begavon shachor, red hairs. That's what they're looking for. Now, why it doesn't say, I don't know. V'locha b'min saros shehem begavon edom, and not from her hairs that are edom. Now, what can you say about this? Is malchus being red, to keep the red, which we understand is the color of din. And then black is really like the color of malchus itself, or the din in malchus maybe is the color of death. But at any rate, they like the black. Below min sa'aros shehem begavon edom, dechlalim bego gavonim, uvegavon edom. Now here's a point he wants to make. Shall sa'aros rosh nukva, so the color red in the hairs of the nukva, who kola besok shar gavonim, it's incorporated within it all of the rest of the colors. Ki sa'aros heim begavon argument, because really the hairs are really purple. Hakola besocho kama gavonim. Now purple has a lot of variations of the colors that have within it to make purple. He said bekolzos nicker gavon ha'edom. So therefore, with all of this, now we recognize this red color b'saras rosh nukva. He wants to say amongst the panoply of colors in purple, the one that is most recognizable is red. And that refers to the saras rosh nukva yosef b'shar gavonim, and it's more like those hairs. Okay, so he wants to say like this. He says the gavon edom romas the dinim. So the red color is really a reference to dinim, as we said before. Uva nukva goivrim dinim, and in the nukva there are a lot of dinim. V'lekach goiver ba gavon edom yosef b'shar hagavonim. So that's the reason why the red sticks out more than all the rest of the colors. Maybe raya shegavah the saros rosh nukva who begavon the argument. So now let's bring a proof that actually the basic color of the hair of the nukva is purple. This is the meaning of this phrase. It's in Shir Hashirim. Vidalas roshkak argument. So he said the braids of the hair are like purple. Pirusha shasaras rosha nukva hu kagavon the argument. That's an interesting idea that her color of her hair is really purple. So let's say if they were, just say they were red instead of purple. So instead of saying that it was argument, it should have said that they were red. And explains Mahu argument. So what's pshat over here in the concept of purple? Maha govern shall argument of a Mahu shinen begavan edom. What's the difference, the real difference between these two colors? Umeshi begavon the klilin bego gavonim. So what does this mean? He said argument is the concept of argument, purple. Ki argaman hu gavon edon akolo im od gavonim. So it's a red, all right, but it also has other colors attached to it. Ella besaros rosh hanukva nikar bechem gavon edom. You can recognize in them the color red, Yosef b'shar gavonim, b'fnei his gavrus hadinim, because in the, he's talking about the hair of the nukva is full of dinim. L'kach nira marachas aros kagon edom. So therefore, that color, which is the color of din, is the one that really is recognized the most. Avochav calls it, but with all of this, the pasuk shesaro sacho chen ka'argaman, that her hairs are like this color argaman. The fi shagam shar gavanim kolulim be'elachas aros, because also he wants to say that all of the other colors, which could include white, let's say for example, which is chesed, it's also in, maybe, I don't know, I put that in, but he says it includes all other kinds of attributes, which are be'elachas aros, kamo begavan ha'argaman, more like we said in argaman, which is a mixture of lots of different colors. So now it goes and it says like this, ta'ana. So we learn like this, lamado, is peshat hai teferes b'tibura delibur. Now let's try to locate where this teferes is located. Gecha teferes is there anpin, this pashet od b'makum tibur halev. So it spreads more downwards from the place which is called the tibur halev. What is the tibur halev? Shuhu makum machsis spheres teferes, which is really the place of half a teferes, the zer anpin. V'nakiv, and then, not explained, but it says v'nakiv, and then a hole. V'oz aseh ha'ma'atzel nekiv, he makes a hole tzad acharayim shal makom tibur halev. So he said, locate the tibur of lev, which is chetzi teferes. So locate that place, and he says at that place, the ma'atzel brings about a hole, an opening in that place as you go downwards, and it tibur halev, the zer anpin, bekoch ha'gevuros anikroim butzin in the kardanisa. Let me read it again. At this point, va'oz asa ha'ma'atzel negev l'tzad acharayim shal makom tibur halev. On the back side, in other words, the back of zer anpin, the zer anpin, bekoch ha'gevuros. And how is the hole made? He says by the power of the gevuros that are inside of zer anpin, they blast out, I guess, a hole. Hanikroim butzin in the kardanusa, which is this ultimate gevura. Vis avad begisa bisa achra. V'avro, I guess I read that wrong. It's not abdu, it's avro. So vis aver begisa achra, and it spreads over to the other side, which is the side of the nukva. V'avro v'orav l'tzada achshel zer anpin, and that's how they go through the back of zer anpin. And once again, I don't want to contradict myself, that the nukva, the chest of the nukva, the skull of the nukva was created at the same time as the chest. But now we're down below that, really. We're below the diaphragm. He says in this place, the gevuros inside that come from, I guess, from Ima, they now blast a hole through the wall there, which is where the main body of the nukva is found. The Sankim Partsufa the Nukva Antiburo, and then that hole itself builds up the Nukva until her Tibur. Ubekoich Eloha Oras Tikun Ama'atzel as parts of a Kasser Shachal the Nukva. So then they're building here this parts of the Nukva until her Tibur, parts of a Nukva Ma'achre Zer Anpen on the back of Zer Anpen, Ad Kedeged Makum Tibur Haguv Shal Zer Anpen, until it reaches, so this hole builds it up until it reaches the place of the Tibur of Zer Anpen. But Tibur is Share, and from then it starts to begin. V'nimsa Shetachidas parts of a Kasser the Nukva Maskil Mekedeged B'makum Tibur Halev Shal Zer Anpen. Now, once again, I guess this begins right at the place of the diaphragm. That's what I'm thinking is the Tibur Halev. Zer Anpen. Shuhu Bechetzi Teferes the Zer Anpen, which is halfway through the Teferes of Zer Anpen from the top to the bottom. It's right in the middle. This is where the parts of the Nukva, her Kasser, is found. But Tibur Shlim, V'nishlam Sof parts of Kasser, so then the parts of the Kasser of the Nuk is completed Ad Keneged Tibur HaGuf until it reaches the same place as the Tibur of Guf Shel Zer Anpen. Shuhu b'sof shlish hasheni, which is at the end of the second third. If you divide Tiferes into thirds, the Tiferes to Zer Anpin. Let's pull the page over here. And I think we're going to stop here at the end of this. If it's okay, I'm sorry, but I got to go. They started a few minutes ago. 2 is Pashat Hai Tiferes. So then we see that the Tiferes spreads. Od is Pashat of Tiferes to Zer Anpin. Min Tibra Haguf Lamata. So then we see that there's a further there's a lower third of the Tiferes to Zer Anpin. Va'askan Moed de Duchura. And that there, as this light is spreading, it's making the innards, the digestive system of Zer Anpin. V'os tika the ma'atzel es ma'ayim shel Zer Anpin. Interesting. V'nis pashtuch v'nis gadluch b'makom ma'ayim, and it continues going down into the digestive area. V'ayil b'chaya aser kol rachamim. So he says v'kol sitra derachme. V'hiknis. So then it causes to come in b'makom hazeh, and this place shel ma'ayim kol rachamim. Called Sad Shel Rachamim. Now, I'm not sure that I really understand this, but he says that's what happens. All the Rachamim that's inside of Zer Anpin, and we talked about the hairs, actually we talked about the Nukva there, but here is where the Rachamim of Zer Anpin, it comes into there. Shuhu Sod Achasadim Hamizgalim Pashtim B'Tiferes to Zer Anpin, which is really the concept of the 5 chasadim that spread into the body of Zer Anpin, asher mehem nimshachin kol b'chidas harachamim ha'elu. So this is where all the aspects of rachamim come through. But ta'ana, we learn like this: v'lamadnu bahane me'ayin, in these innards, ki be'elu chasadim v'harachamim shel ha'ma'ayim b'tiferes to Zer Anpin. So now we're saying that inside of the tiferes of Zer Anpin we have these chasadim, which are rachamim, and they're in the digestive system of Zer Anpin. Is achdan shis ma alaf ribo mari derachme. It causes the arousal of 600,000, 10,000 mari derachmim, which are angels of Savnei Chazach of Shroshim Sheish Meos Elef Ribo Malachim Bali Rachmim Keneged Sheish Chasadim Shisha Chasadim Hamizgalim Sham. So here he's counting 6 chasadim instead of 5. I suppose he means that some of it goes into Yisod. Shekol echad kol ma'aser. So that's, he says, those 6. Kol echad mechem kol ma'aser v'kein misrabin v'holchim ad sheish meos elef ribo, and they continue to multiply all of these good things inside until they reach this concept of 600,000, 10,000s. V'iskrun bali me'ayim, and they're called the owners or the masters of the innards. V'nikroim bali me'ayim. What does that mean? Al shem shorsham b'meim the Zer Anpin, because where they actually are found and where you see them rooted is in the innards of Zer Anpin. So he said, "Heim bali rachamim kedugmas shroshim elyon," because they are masters of mercy. And so maybe rayashim ayim elyonim heim makum kochos rachamim. So now we bring a proof of this place that the innards is the place that you have the kochos rachamim. The chsiv, like it's written like this: Al kain homu me'ai lo rachem arachamenu neum Hashem. So this is a translation. He says what? They are grumbling, misorder them and aroused. Oz nimshak rachamim al b'nei Yisrael. In other words, when they're grinding and doing their process, that is actually the process of bringing rachamim into the world. That's it for today. Have a wonderful Shabbos, Rebbe. I got to run off the shul. Kol tov.